Syrian regime forces say the battle for Aleppo is very close to being won. People trapped by the fighting say they want to escape, but Russia has blocked a ceasefire request by the United States. And activists have accused Assad's soldiers of killing 80 civilians. Well, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has voiced his concerns. His spokesman said that the Secretary General is alarmed over reports of atrocities against a large number of civilians, including women and children, in recent hours in Aleppo. While stressing that the United Nations is not able to independently verify these reports, the Secretary General is conveying his grave concern to the relevant parties. Let's go straight to our correspondent Ediz Tiyansan, who is live in Gaziantep on the border between Turkey and Syria. Ediz, tell us a bit more about what you're hearing about these reports of atrocities being committed by regime forces.
Well, at critical and rather chaotic times like this, it is extremely difficult to establish solid facts on the ground. But what we are hearing from many witnesses and activists on the ground is that the loss of life at this point is at a critical rate. Now, until now, remember, the weeks-long offensive by the regime had already killed hundreds of civilians who were stuck in that enclave because of the mutual ground shelling as well as airstrikes by regime and Russia. And at some point, when civilians wanted to take their chances to flee to the regime-controlled areas, they were either killed at some of the front lines, some of them were detained, maltreated, some of them to the extent of torture. But what we are hearing about now takes us to a whole other level, because what many of these witnesses and activists are saying is that as of Monday, when the regime troops, as well as their allied Shia militia, when they entered newly captured districts that were abandoned by the rebel groups, they were actually targeting, deliberately so, unarmed civilians on the streets. And some of them are giving very specific accounts of actually fire squads targeting dozens of men right there on the streets, shooting them dead in cold blood. And they're also saying that bodies of even women and children were lying on the streets. Now, I should emphasize also that TRT World cannot independently verify these accounts either, but they have been echoed by so many activists that even United Nations picked up on it. We've heard from the Secretary General expressing his own grave concern at the alleged atrocities. We've also heard from the humanitarian advisor Jan Egeland saying that Russia and the Syrian regime should be held responsible for any of these atrocities towards civilians. And we've even heard from the International Red Cross, which just issued a plea to both sides to spare any civilian life in this conflict. But it seems that we're approaching the end of a 5-year-long battle for Syria's most strategic city. And at this turning point for Aleppo, it seems that things are getting pretty ugly on the ground.
Okay, Ediz, many thanks for that.